Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about the top 5 productivity hacks for freelancers. Now freelancers have a very different lifestyle when compared to people who work in an office or just general employees, etc., etc. We don't have bosses breathing down our necks. We don't have people handing us stuff to do or telling us as long as you do this, this, and that, then you'll receive your salary, you'll get your bonus. No, we kind of have to figure out what we need to do on our own. Basically, we need to be our own boss. Basically, we need to figure out what needs to get done. We need to kick our own ass to get it done, and then we need to make sure it's done well and that our clients are happy and that we're able to get clients and make new ones and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not only that, but we're in charge of the product we sell. We're in charge of getting paid for that product. We're in charge of marketing that product. We're in charge of any troubleshooting that happens. We're in charge of the photocopying and buying the paper clips and making the coffee and everything and anything in between. So it's not easy. It's not simple. So these are 5 of the main tactics that I use to keep up my freelance activities. Number 1, have a to-do list and write it out the night before. Always have a to-do list that's ready the day before. The day before or the night before, you want to prepare a list of all the things you need to do the next day. It doesn't have to be many things. There's what's called the Ivy Lee method, which is about 100 years old, if not more, and which says that you should choose 6 things to do. 6 things to do that are important for the next day. If you're a follower of Tim Ferriss, he says he chooses around, I think, 3 or 4 important things to get done the next day. Or, if you follow Warren Buffett, he says to choose 25 things that you want to get done, and then choose the 5 most important of those and ignore the other 20. So basically, choose some important things, 3, 4, 5, 6 important things that will make you say, okay, if I succeed in these, it will be a good day. This doesn't mean you shouldn't do other things like phone calls and follow-up emails, etc., but these are the important things you need to get done. These are what you write down in your to-do list on the night before. And why the night before? Why not just wake up in the morning and then write out your to-do list? Because you want to hit the ground running. You can't waste the precious first minutes of your day trying to come up with things to do, because then you'll just waste a bunch of time and you lose your momentum. So always write your to-do list the night before. Number 2, budget your time. Now once you get used to translation, you'll be able to know how much time it takes you to translate a certain document. For example, for me, I know that it takes me a certain amount of time to translate per word or per 1,000 words, depending on the document and the subject, etc., etc., etc. So I allot that time for the translation. Then I schedule some time later, preferably the next day, to revisit it with fresh eyes. Many times, if you're translating from one language to the other, something that sounds okay will sound very odd when you reread it purely in the target language. So at the beginning, this might take some experimentation, so make sure you leave enough time. Allot your time for the translation, for the review, and for anything else you need to do. And remember, budgeting your time means budgeting time for email, means budgeting time for any other errands like buying the paper clips and making those photocopies, etc. And yes, I said budget your email. You don't want your email on all day. Preferably you check your email at set intervals, 2-3 times a day or whatever it might be, but make sure that those are set intervals and you don't want it just to be in the background because it will distract you from everything else you're doing. So budget your time. Following up on that, what I do is I actually block my email. I block my email and any other program that might distract me while I'm trying to get work done. I actually have apps that block my Twitter, my Facebook, my YouTube, and any other website that I might waste time on. And this includes email and my phone, by the way. If I'm working on something important, my phone won't be in this room, it'll be in another room, or it'll just be on silent. Seriously, you don't want to get distracted. So, block all distractions. In essence, you want to make it as easy as possible to get your work done and as hard as possible to waste time. So block anything that will distract you, that will make you waste your time, that will prevent you from getting your work done. And that was number 3. Number 4, what I do is I work on my most difficult task first. When I make my to-do list the night before, I make sure that the most difficult thing, the most annoying thing, the thing I really don't feel like doing the most is the first thing I tackle. First of all, because I'm not fully awake yet, so chances are I'll just run into it without thinking too much about it. Because if I think too much about it, I might start making excuses, finding reasons to delay it or to do it later, etc. So always schedule the most important thing, the most annoying thing, the thing you're really not looking forward to as the first thing. Obviously, if you have a translation due that day, if you have something that's due the soonest, that's the thing you want to work on first. But in essence, the thing you're dreading the most, the thing you really don't feel like working on, that's usually the thing you should be scheduling first. And so that's what I do, because then also once I finish it, I really feel a load off and it really gets me going for the rest of the day. It's a big win and it lets me tackle everything else I have for that day. And number 5 is take breaks. You want to take breaks at some point or you're going to get burnt out. When I work, I try to get in the zone. That's why I don't have distractions, which means that when I finish what I'm doing there, that certain task, I need a break. Now this break could be a walk. Many times I'll take a walk and run some errands. Or it could also be just getting up and moving around. I used to, between tasks, just get up and do 10 push-ups and then come back to work. Whatever works for you, but you do need to break your time up. Now, there are different methods of doing this. If you've researched it, there's a Pomodoro technique and other things. You find what suits you best. If it's between different tasks, if it's every hour or every hour and a half or whatever works best for you. But make sure you do take breaks. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself daydreaming, not getting work done, going on Facebook and chatting with your friends, etc., etc. So take a break so then you can get right back to work. And a bonus, yes, there's a bonus, because this really ties into everything else. The bonus, at least for me, and I think for everyone else, is not to multitask. I cannot multitask, and guess what? You can't either. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl, if you're young or if you're old or where you're from or whatever, you cannot. Studies have been done on this all over, and people just cannot multitask. They do not work nearly as well. You can do one thing well, or you can do two things poorly. So when you work on something, concentrate on it. When you set out your to-do list, know that you're going to be working on that one thing, because you have no distractions. You're not being interrupted by email. You have your allotted times for everything. You've budgeted your time, and you take breaks when you need to, so then you can go right back into what you're working on. You can concentrate on it 100%. Do not be multitasking. Do not multitask. And that's it. Hopefully you found these useful. If you do find these useful, please leave a thumbs up and feel free to share this with any friends who you think might find this useful. And if you want more tips for freelancers and freelance translation, then please click subscribe. We have new videos coming out. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for future videos, then you can leave a comment down here below. Savedum.